Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar on Darwin Information Typing Architecture, that is DITA. To quickly start with brief information about myself. I'm Amit Siddhartha, owner and consultant at Metapercept Information Solutions and Consulting. We provide solution and implementation in DITA, XSLT, structured authoring, single sourcing, usability, and information mapping. We provide consulting and training in DITA, XML, STE, that is Simplified Technical English, data-based authoring tools, and data-based content management systems. Our agenda for today's webinar would be: what is DITA? Why DITA XML? Do we need DITA? What all do we need to implement DITA? Then phased approach to DITA migration. And in the end of the webinar, we'll have a questions and answer session. And during this webinar, if anybody has a question, they can write their question in this area, and I'll be attending to those questions in the end of the webinar. And during this webinar, I'll be keeping all the participants on mute. So moving to the next slide. So after this webinar, you'll be able to understand the DITA ecosystem, analyze if DITA is required for your documentation system, understand dependencies for DITA implementation, understand importance of planning in DITA. So currently how our unstructured documentation system looks like, and why we are facing issues with the unstructured documentation. So if we look into the future of unstructured documentation, I have a small example to present. As an unstructured document system may become a big burden and a difficult task to handle in near future. And as we all know how an unstructured document looks like, it is a very linear documentation system if we prepare it in a Microsoft Word document. So we have a very common information where we have a concept, then we have certain tasks or references mentioned, and this is a very linear structure of the document, and all these contents are in one piece instead of topic type contents. So now what is DITA? So we have all been hearing about DITA for quite some time, and most of the companies or the technical authors are interested in learning DITA. But to know really about DITA, I have defined DITA in two types of definition. So one is, the first definition is DITA is an open standard for creating, managing, and publishing topic-based content. DITA supports topic types within a comprehensive content management system that can facilitate single sourcing and reuse of the topic types. And the definition 2 would be, DITA is a topic-based structured documentation system. DITA topics can be easily assembled from multiple sources to create deliverables in various output formats. And everybody can have their own definition for DITA as per their experiences while working on any DITA project or what they have analyzed about DITA. So how a DITA looks like, or how DITA works. So if we see, we have block of information. So we have information in blocks, in fact, and we can use those block of information or the topics, what we generally call, into various type of deliverables. So we can have multiple deliverable format using all those content pieces, and here is what we call single sourcing, which comes into picture. How a DITA ecosystem looks like. So the DITA ecosystem is very much like this diagram that I have represented here. All the individual technical writers work on their own XML content using some DITA authoring tool such as FrameMaker or Oxygen or Arbor text editor. And all these authors, after writing their content in XML format, they deposit those contents in the content management system, which is also called repository. And then through this content management system, or CMS, all these XML contents are managed, mapped as per any project requirement, and then it is published to a particular output format. So the output formats can be web help, online help, or a PDF, or even a mobile help. So there can be multiple types of output formats which can be published using the XML source contents. Moving on to the next slide. What are the key authoring principles in DITA? So DITA is a topic-based information. All these information type, all the DITA information types are in various types and domains. And then you have structural integrity, which is one of the key principles in DITA authoring. And you have semantic markup, separation of content from presentation, separation of content, that is topics, from context, that is maps, and reuse, and finally then extensibility and customizability of the information. Using DITA XML, we can create, manage, and publish XML-based structured information in a wide variety of environment, platforms, and deliverable. So as I explained it earlier, like DITA is a platform-independent authoring standard, and it can work very well on the Windows as well as Linux or Unix platform. Then we have using DITA, you can facilitate information sharing and reuse and collaborative writing projects. And you can reduce writing, publishing, and translation costs, integrate more tightly with related technologies. And what are DITA information types? So the DITA information types contains mainly three types of information, which we all know. They are mainly categorized into concept topic types or information types, task information types, and reference information types. All these information types that we have talked about in the previous slide has been broken down into various detailed information type, and in a DITA content model, and I have categorized them to the task information type, then I have a graphical task information type, then I have a description concept information type, then I have a graphical concept information type, requirements information type, specifications information type, worksheets information type, general references, API, scenarios, resolution, structure, and glossaries. So now in other slides, moving ahead, we will be discussing a little more in detail about these information types. So it depends on all the companies where they want to implement DITA, that how much at granular level they want to break the DITA information types. So the first one comes task. The task type provides the information a user needs to perform a procedure that requires more than one step. At a minimum, the task type must include all steps the user must perform and the correct order of those steps. A task can also provide notes and other useful details, expected results of the procedure, any prerequisites or postrequisites. So the example for graphical task would be like this. There is a diagram describing connector panel, how to assemble your connector panel. So in this, I have described the task in graphical format: number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So any hardware related information which has to be represented graphically can be a graphical task and should come under the graphical task information type in DITA. Then we have concept or description concept, which provides background information that users must know prior to working with a product or interface. Description concept is usually a process which will be presented in an ordered list. For example, a series of functions that the system performs would be considered a process, but a high-level set of steps that a user performs would be a task. So we can have a scenario where we have a description concept which explains that it is a concept, but also those concepts can work as a task, such as prerequisite information or any UI related information where we are describing a UI. So example for a graphical concept would be like this. So we have a phone over here, and in this we have mentioned all these features available in the phone, and at the same time we can use these features to perform a particular task. Or the another example for graphical concept would be the console of a car, where we are describing about the steering wheel, speedometer, brake pedal, accelerator pedal, or the clutch pedal. And the difference between these two graphical presentations, graphical concepts, are that the first one is the task-based graphical concept, task and graphical concept instead, and the second one is just a concept, not the task, because we are not explaining any step over here or any functions. Moving on to the next slide, the requirements information type. So the requirements information type would be information type which explains the prerequisites or the requirement for any product, where we are mentioning all these requirements in a tabular format and how these prerequisites or requirements are going to help us. So these requirements can be reference topics as well, which can be used across other projects or other document sets. Then we have specifications. Specifications provides values for hardware related elements of a system, such as height, weight, temperature, density, capacities, memory, bandwidth, etc. So these can be either a bulleted list or in tabular format, which explains what all details or description any particular hardware or any equipment has. And these information can also be used across other documents or other project deliverables. So for that reason, specification information can be a concept which are self-explanatory, or also it can be a reference topic type which can be used across other documents. Then we have command references, which provides a list of system commands that includes command names, descriptions, variables, and examples. Sections of this information can be used in other topics as well. Generally in the API document we have command references, and from there we inherit those information in the other documents, such as reference manuals or any other technical guide, or maybe the APIs of a product. Then we have worksheet information type, which includes information a user must gather and record, or lists of tasks that the user must complete in sequence. Then we have general references, which includes lists and tables of reference information that does not fit into one of the other defined reference types. So the example for this general reference would be legal documents or copyright information, or any product part number or version numbers, or any other information such as logo or slogan of a company or a brand name. Then we have API information types, which provides API information and can include description, syntax, example, usages, etc. Then we have scenario-based information types. Scenario information type is a topic length example that helps a user to understand a concept or a task. Scenario can be a concept or a task depending on the type of information being included in the scenario. Then we have resolution information types, which provides information about detecting and resolving product issues, events, alarms, and errors. So these resolution information types can be task-based information types, or even they can be reference-based information types, and can be used in the troubleshooting guide or any other guide where we need such information such as error messages or alarm messages. Then we have structured information type. The structure type describes the components of a container such as product interface or a hardware component. This topic type can include application fields, icons, report fields, etc. For hardware components, this can include a list of components of a server or an image followed by a description of the image contents. And then we have glossaries. The glossary topic type provides term and its definition, as we know very well. So why DITA XML? The question comes up, why DITA XML only, not HTML or HTML or any other scripting languages? And before that, what stakeholders have to ask when we plan for DITA, or what managers have to ask? So what the stakeholders ask are, how are we going to meet our financial projections if we use DITA? Because that is where they have the major concerns. If we want to add new products with our existing ones, will DITA help us lower the cost? We had a merger recently with another company and we are adding their product line. What would be the cost involved? And what a manager has to ask when we talk about DITA. So the manager would be asking, how much is the effort by a technical writer if we migrate to DITA? How can we compare the deliverable effort and content creation effort for current year, last year, or just for a month by each author? How can we calculate the cost of a deliverable if segregated into effort applied by an author, reviewer, and editor? So all these questions are very important questions which are always related to whenever any documentation project is moved from unstructured documentation style to structured documentation style, specifically to DITA. So our documentation system in DITA usually looks like this, as I explained in a previous slide, that we have module-based or topic-based information which can be implied in various structure for different projects. Then we have why DITA XML. So the answer is, as it maintains structural integrity, as it is platform independent, it is portable, reusability and single sourcing is easily available, and we can reuse or source our information type easily when implemented in DITA. And then transformation. So in a DITA ecosystem, topic-based content structure is maintained by the extended markup language, that is XML, and presentation, which is formatting and styling for each deliverable type, is maintained by cascading style sheets or CSS, what we call. So this means that writing of content is handled by the XML language, so that is the reason why we need DITA, and the presentation of that content, which is the output format for that content, is maintained by the CSS. And this is the reason why there is a very restrictive authoring system in DITA, and all the writers are more focused or have to focus more on writing content rather than worrying about the presentation of the content, as presentation of the content is taken care by the CSS, which is defined separately. Next question comes up in our mind, that what is topic-based information? As we are talking about DITA, then generally we come to know that DITA is a module-based documentation system or a modular documentation system, or we generally call it as a topic-based system, documentation system. So a topic is in DITA is the smallest independently maintainable unit of content. And that can be even the heading of a content, heading of a document, or even a image of a document. And it can be smallest part, even the copyright information, which I have mentioned in my footer of this slide. Then topics must be able to stand alone so that they can be understood when they are encountered out of context. For example, when a user finds the topic through search, an index, or by following a link. So any topic which is created in DITA should be easily searchable and should be easily available through the content management system we are using, so that we can easily map those topic types after searching and relate it or map it to a particular project DITA map. Information type and domain in DITA. So each information type represents one type of content that we create at a topic level. So as on a broader level, we have spoken about concept topic types, or concept information type, reference information type, and task information type. So each information type represents one type of content that we create at a topic level, has a specific intent, and comprises of a series of content elements in a prescribed order. And domains are kind of content within topics, such as there is a group of data elements concerned with user interfaces such as UI control, Win title, and another concerned with programming such as code PH. So what is a structural integrity? In DITA, structural integrity means guaranteeing content structure stipulated by the document type definition, that is DTD, which means all the contents has to follow a particular structure as defined in the DTD, and that maintains the entire content structure in DITA, which is not available in any unstructured authoring mechanism. Then it is easy content porting from one writer to another without disturbing document structure. And then we have transformation to other document types or data formats is much easier in DITA compared to unstructured documentation system. Then we have extensibility and customizability. DITA is extensible by defining new information types or domains such as glossaries, index, mathematical formulas, or equations, or any images that is specifically intended, or such as if a particular image has to be used in any other kind of output format. Then DITA specialization of new information types or domain extends existing types or domains by adding the hierarchy. So extensibility and customizability of DITA contents or DITA topic types or DITA information types are rather related to working with DTDs or schemas in a DITA content system. Then we have a concept called reuse, in which we create a chunk of content and reuse that content in multiple topics, DITA maps, or patterns even across several projects, which means if we have created a content in DITA, it can easily be mapped to other DITA projects if there is a DITA map available, and also across the other projects. So this lessens the worry if there is any project which is merged with any project B, say for example project A is merged with project B and project A is written in DITA, then you can use those DITA contents for project B if any DITA implementation is being done in project B. And then benefits of reuse of DITA contents are that it simplifies and reduces time for content maintenance. There is less ambiguity and inconsistency of information. Then enhanced usability and standardized wording is there in a reuse concept. And then we have reduced localization costs or translation costs in DITA. So another question comes up, do we need DITA? So there is a small example, why do we need a Swiss knife? So as it has got many features or many tools that we can use that is available handy and we can use at any point in time. Similarly, DITA is one of the standard where all the information type is designed in such a way that it can be reused or single sourced across various projects. So we need DITA to develop structured documents, use common look and feel for complete documentation system, streamline documentation, content management, publishing, and build integration system. Then we can reuse contents for multiple deliverables and decrease content legacy issues. And we can have multiple deliverable output with same content and have reduced time to create content. And then we can have reduced return on investment. And using DITA, we can standardize the content structure and maintain the entire documentation process for reviews and publishing the output. And obviously, DITA makes life easy for technical writers, as technical writers are more content focused rather than the presentation focused. So the next slide asks, what all do we need to implement DITA? So this is one of the very common questions that comes up in the mind of maybe the technical writers or the project managers or even the stakeholders of a company. And this is where we all get confused that what all do we need DITA. So I'll be talking about various requirements in DITA. So the first thing comes as analysis, planning, and scheduling. So this is one of the most important aspects for any DITA project, where analysis of existing information is highly required to check the ambiguity or complexity of the information. Then plan and schedule the entire DITA project. Then assemble the right team, get appropriate authoring CMS and publishing tools. So in this case, we have basic authoring in DITA, which deals with document type definitions and DITA maps. And then we have schemas, and then we have editors, DITA editors such as Notepad, WordPad, or any DITA authoring software. Content management system is a DITA enabled content management system which can actually help us manage all the DITA XML contents and map those contents to specific to a particular project through the DITA maps defined for those projects. And those content management system must have version control and a review mechanism which can help us track what review comments has been provided for a particular content and how and if the content is updated, one should know that what content has been updated, and those things are taken care by the version control system. Then we have content mapping system, which is part of kind of information mapping mechanism, and in using this we can actually map our content specific to particular projects. And then we have publishing, which takes care of the style layout and condition mechanism, and we have desirable output generation system through the publishing mechanism. What are DITA maps, schemas, or relationship tables? So DITA maps are skeletons of entire documentation structure in DITA, and that holds all the information types. It is exactly like a TOC at a very granular level, where we want to embed our DITA files as per our requirements. Then schemas, then comes schemas, which are contents, which has ability to handle contents, or which has methods to handle contents. And then it takes care of the publishing formats for the deliverables. And then it has extensibility of topic types specific to your requirement, and you can customize your topic types as per your project requirements. And these schemas are also scalable and has the ability to manage user technical writers working on same contents. And then obviously we have relationship tables, which maintains the detail or description about all the information which is mapped across the entire documentation set. So now we have the question, Phased approach to data migration. So what is phased approach to data migration? As it starts, like any other product or any other product development, even migration to data follows the same pattern. And in the phase 1, it includes of evaluation. Then you have phase 2, which is prioritization, and so forth, so on. And then finally, future is reviews and support to maintain the data content, maintain and manage the data contents. So what data migration must have a phased approach? This phased approach would include evaluation of new information, redundancies, interdependencies, and complexity of contents. Then we have prioritization of information units, evaluation of documentation infrastructure and delivery methods, assessment of training requirements such as scheduling, management, authoring tools, CMS and information mapping, then constant reviews and support, and obviously workload balancing. So what are the resources involved in data migration? Obviously we have various trainings available for technical writers, but there are other resources who are involved in data migration, such as data XML architects who can create architecture for data projects and can help create data maps or schemas. Then data XML editors who should have the experience in editing the XML contents or the information types. And then infrastructure developers who can take care of the CMS integration or configuration with the authoring tool and publishing mechanism. Then technical writers, obviously experienced in data XML. And then we have development and product management experts who can take care of the entire project lifecycle and keep a track of the updates or the version control of the entire project in data. Some of the authoring and CMS tools I would like to name here are Notepad or WordPad, which is obviously free of cost, available with the Windows version or even the Linux operating system. Then the other free one are other free softwares are DITA Open Toolkit, which is also available free of cost, and so the other data authoring tools are Oxygen, XMetal, Adobe FrameMaker, Arbor Text Editor, and there are many more authoring tools in the market along with the open source tools. And then we have content management systems such as DITA 2, iXiaSoft, Astoria, DITA CMIS Explorer, and EasyData. So now we'll have a questionnaire session. So there are lots of questions pouring in from the participants. Okay, so the first question is, how much time does it take to learn data? So answer to this question would be approximately 3 months to 4 months, and it depends. Like if you want to do the specialization, then it takes a lot of time, in fact more than 1 year. But to start with a scratch documentation in data, it takes not more than 3 months to 6 months, and you can use your use open source toolkits available on the internet. And but for that you would need to, if you need to publish the output in a particular format, then you would need a particular CMS, data enabled CMS, which can handle all these data topics that you have created using the data open source toolkit. Or else, if you have a data authoring any licensed software, data authoring software, then obviously you can create contents in that, and using a very good CMS you can generate various output formats as per your requirement. And to learn from the basic data till the advanced level, it usually takes more than 6 months. I hope that answers your question. Okay, there's another question which says, is DITA different from information mapping? Yes, certainly DITA is different from information mapping. DITA is a standard which help you create documentation in a structured format, and it has the ability of reusing of the contents and single sourcing of the contents. However, information mapping is a mechanism which help you map the information to a particular or a specific information type or a particular information library. In DITA, you can create contents in topics, various topic types, and then using the information mapping mechanism, you can use those DITA contents and relate those contents for specific projects and have the outputs as per your requirement for that project. Yes, so the another question is WebWorks and RoboHelp. Yes, in fact this is a nice question. RoboHelp is actually an authoring tool which is DITA enabled tool, and we can write DITA contents in that, but RoboHelp is also associated with or integrated with some CMS tool which can help manage those contents created in DITA. However, WebWorks is a CMS tool that can help you create an output or generate an output in various output formats such as Web Help, Online Help, or CHM, that is CHM Help, or EPUBs, or any other formats, or maybe Java Help, using DITA contents. So WebWorks can be integrated to any DITA authoring tool, and then WebWorks uses those information which has been created through that authoring tool to publish an output. So obviously these two things are different, and these two can be integrated together to publish a DITA based output for any project. Okay, your team is using Documentum. Yes, certainly Documentum is DITA enabled tool, and it can be very well integrated with XMetal or Arbortext or any other authoring tool. And Documentum is a CMS based DITA enabled CMS, and it has various features to manage the DITA content and map your DITA content to specific to a particular project. And not only that, Documentum is also a versatile tool which has the build management facility or the feature which is integrated or which is configured for the development team. And in a particular project, you can share your XML content prepared in DITA with your development team and the QA team for review purposes. And if your dev team or the QA team has prepared any content which has to be applied or used in a UI, can also be shared with your technical writing team in that project, and you can see that DITA content and provide your review comments for that. Yes, certainly. XML source files can be used in Flare, and however, you would need a conversion engine to extract the XML contents and or the information that you have written in XML and transform them to the Flash output, and you can relate those information to your Flash 3D animation using DITA. So nowadays, all these information or all these 3D animation or graphical information can be used with DITA information using various mechanisms or various tools available in the market. Another question comes up from one of the participants is that how different or better Epic Editor is with other tools. So the question answer to this question would be all these data authoring tools have similar capabilities, and we cannot actually measure them from the data implementation perspective, as they all use the same skeleton or the same data maps or same schemas prescribed for the data implementation. So Epic Editor, as it is now known these days, earlier it was ArborText Epic Editor, or it is actually a very good tool and it can be used for data authoring. So the another question comes up from one of the participants is that how effective how effective Adobe FrameMaker is for data implementation. I would say that FrameMaker has been lasting in this authoring market for quite some time, and FrameMaker 10 and above has been really a useful tool to write contents in data. However, I would not advocate for that, as there are other better tools to author in data which is available in market. But yes, from the usability perspective, Adobe FrameMaker is much user friendly, and it has got all the elements very well defined in its catalogs, and any user can learn Adobe FrameMaker data implementation using Adobe FrameMaker in quite some time. So the another question comes from up is how a data CMS works, or what is the functionality of a data CMS. So the answer to this question is in data, actually data is a standard to write content, modular content or topic based information, but to manage such contents you need a particular mechanism or a system which can handle those contents and map to a particular project and have the desirable output format. So to handle such issues or to handle such features, CMS or data enabled CMS comes into the picture. So data CMS allows you to use the topic types that you have any technical writer has created, and allocate or map those contents in various data maps defined for the projects, and have the desirable outputs using the publishing engine. Another question is there any authoring tool which can help you search the data or the XML contents? Yes, certainly there are a few tools in the market which has this ability to search your data contents, and some of them are ArborText Editor and XMetal, and also Oxygen has this feature to search your contents, data XML contents. However, these things are generally taken care by the CMS tool, as searching the content for a particular project is only required when you map those information to your data maps. Okay, another question comes up. Is data used in e-learning? Yes, certainly data is used in e-learning these days, as it has content reuse and single sourcing facility. It can easily be used for e-publishing or e-learning activities. One of the question comes from a participant that what are the drawbacks or restrictions in data? So the restrictions are not much. It is very limited restriction in data, that you have to follow a prescribed order of writing contents in data, and all the contents has to be topic based contents, and once you start writing you have to follow the protocols defined for data content, such as if you have written if you have a topic as a topic head, then only you can have topic body in which you can write the body contents, and if you have a task topic then you must have some task defined in under that. Unlike the unstructured documentation system, where you can, even if you start a procedure, you can write any concept in Word. However, in data authoring mechanism you cannot do that. If you have defined a task topic, then it must contain the task information such as numbered list, steps, or something like that. So In DITA, the limitations are only that sometime a technical writer may get confused that the person he's not able to see the presentation of the information. However, he's writing the content as the contents are in raw format, that is XML format. So analyzing the content or understanding the presentation of the content from a different perspective is one of the limitation in DITA. I hope that answers the question. Another question that comes up is, do I need to know XML to learn DITA? So the answer would be yes and no both, as if you want to master or if you want to hold the expertise in extensibility and customizability of DITA domains or DITA information types, then yes, certainly you need to know XML, as all these scripting or defining new elements are done in XML, and you should have the knowledge for that. But if you are a simple technical writer who is only concerned about writing contents in DITA, then my answer would be that no, as all these elements are already defined in a DITA authoring tool, and you can use those elements. So only thing that you need to know is that you need to have the DITA documentation guidelines or style guide where all these elements are defined, which can be used for a particular purpose in the documentation. And if you have such style guides within your team, then yes, there is no need to learn any XML language, and you can easily move to DITA and learn DITA. Another question is, how do you maintain the indexing in DITA? So any technical writer who is working in DITA does not have to worry about it, as it holds the markup, and it has by default markups defined for any information type that you create. And once you assemble those information in your DITA map and create an output, all these markups automatically get listed in the indexing, and it makes your document more searchable, and or you can easily search your information from this indexing. So one of the questions that has come up from one of the participants is that, what is the approach to DITA migration? So my answer is, as I explained it in my previous slides, that we need to have a phased approach for our DITA migration. And as this is a simple example, that we need to have various evaluation mechanism, prioritization of the work, and then reviews and supports, and then maintenance of the information. So any DITA migration project without a very well planned mechanism or a system cannot be implemented, and all these projects, DITA migration project must be should be a phased should have a phased approach, where all these things are taken care by the entire team. So there is another question that, do we have to revamp the entire documentation system to migrate into DITA? So it is not exactly revamping the entire documentation system, but it is evaluating the entire documentation system to identify the ambiguity, complexity of the information, and segregating those information which is widely used across quite often, or which is generic to all the projects. So once these information types are categorized, then it is much easier to move to DITA, as it helps us remove the legacy information or legacy issues that exists within any unstructured documentation system. So the another question is, how much budget is involved in DITA implementation? So the answer would be, it depends on projects and companies. Where if any company has huge documentation system, then or a huge document repository, then obviously there is huge cost involved in DITA, but that is just at the initial level. However, the ROI, that is the return on investment for any DITA project after 2 years, is quite less, because by the time 2 years gets completed, you have already defined your entire documentation system in a better way, and you have all those information types available which can be reused in future, and which can be single sourced across other projects as well. There's a question that if data topics are reusable, and if they are reusable, is it handled by handled by the CMS? So the answer would be not exactly. Until and unless your content is not defined in a particular way, you cannot reuse this content. In an unstructured documentation system, uh, reusability of information is not possible, as you have the whole document or whole content available, and you cannot just take a chunk of the content and integrate that content in any other document, or you cannot just map that particular content in unstructured documentation to various projects. However, in DITA, you have defined all these information as topics, individual topics, and it is much easier to point those or map those information to various projects wherever this information is required. So consider this example that you have a prerequisite information that you have created, and this prerequisite information may be generic to 5 other projects. So in this case, if you have a topic that you have created just for the prerequisite information, it can easily be mapped to 5 other projects and used in those documents easily. So I think there is no more questions from the candidates. So moving forward with the other slides, where I have some reference information for you that can be helpful to you. So references to learn DITA from books. You can refer to DITA 101 Fundamentals of DITA for Authors and Managers, and then you have Darwin Information Typing Architecture by Jesse Ronald Cohn, and online sources are also mentioned in this presentation slide. And if you want to get in touch with me related to more information or for training and consulting in DITA, then please feel free to write me on my email ID info@metapercept.com, or on GTalk. I'm available, metapercept@gmail.com. And I have mentioned the Twitter, LinkedIn, and my website link, that is www.metapercept.com. And there are more upcoming events which are free of cost, and you can access those all those future webinars. And we are going to conduct DITA authoring using Oxygen XML Author, DITA content management using DITA 2, and working with context and conditions in Smart Docs with MS Word, which is actually a new tool which gets integrated with MS Word and allows you to create context sensitive information or apply conditional text in your Microsoft Word document. And Smart Doc also leverages easy review of the content and reuse of the information without even moving to DITA. So any company who are still using Microsoft Word can, like all the technical writers who are still using Microsoft Word, can attend this session, as it would be quite beneficial for them. And there would be certainly many more sessions coming up from Metapercept for the technical writing community. And thank you.